Hello babes, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, welcome. So in today's video I wanted to talk about the eldest daughter and how she often plays the third parent in the household. She tends to share a lot of commonalities with the only daughter in a family of boys or in a male identified household. So let's get into it. Welcome to Iconically Iconic. The eldest daughter is usually given the bulk of responsibilities and treated as though she is the third parent. Her feelings are constantly pushed to the back while she's always expected to be the responsible one, the one holding it all together. There wasn't space for her to experience her parents the same way her younger siblings did. Eldest daughters are often pushed to grow up faster than their siblings and be everything to the family. The confidant, the caretaker, the one who takes on responsibility. She becomes the family manager, yet she's told to stay in a child's place while being handed adult responsibilities by adults who made irresponsible decisions. If they needed to stay in a child's place, they wouldn't have been given the responsibility of parents in the first place.
No, I did tell everyone to turn on location sharing though. I brought toothpaste. Yeah, Timbuktu. Yeah.
I thought we decided you were going to stay here and go to school. You dub like me. You're husky.
No, you decided.
Oh, okay. So what, you just pick up and leave, is that it?
While eldest daughters were supposed to be out enjoying themselves and should have enjoyed their youth, instead of becoming parents before they were ready, they raised children and had no say in it. They were children who were forced into parenthood by proxy because of the choices the adults made. One of the issues that comes up, especially in some Black households, is how often parents refuse to take accountability for making this child the third parent. There's this belief that expressing your feelings is a sign of disrespect, no matter how gently and respectful you do it. Because how dare you have an opinion and voice your frustrations? They'll fall back on the phrase, "I did the best I could," as if that absolves them of the fact that you didn't get to have a childhood and had to carry on burdens that you never asked for, or they bring up their childhood and how they had it so hard, and like to play the oppression Olympics as though your pain and the things that you went through as a child is supposed to somehow be dismissed because they, quote unquote, had it worse. And your childhood wasn't acceptable either. So instead of you acknowledging that fact, you instead use it as a way to excuse your behavior. And I think it's secretly because they feel guilt for that, and you bringing it up means they have to acknowledge that, so they gaslight you to make you feel bad about your very valid feelings. And like I said before, they experienced that, and now it's like they're repeating it. Now I'll tell you, as the eldest daughter, and look, I love my parents. They worked very hard and are beautiful. I love them. But when you are always given the responsible role, the second mother of the family, and people always assume you will handle things because you always have, it is extremely draining and shows up in your adulthood. And sometimes it could be a thing where you're given these roles and your parents don't even realize that they have this mindset of, you're the girl, you're the eldest girl, so you will do such and such, and your brothers or your brother will do such and such. And this shows up in your adulthood. Sometimes you even feel upset when no one needs you because you've been in that role for so long. It becomes the only time you felt seen. Still, you always feel like the background character or the forgotten child. And as much as you try not to resent your siblings for having to do everything or most things for them, you do. And you may not be the oldest child, but being the oldest girl in the family often means you become the second mother. You were often neglected in your childhood simply because you were seen as the mature, responsible one, and that role was assigned to you. And speaking from personal experience, it doesn't mean you dislike your parents or that they were bad people. Some were, yes, which I'll get to. There were some parents who were terrible parents, but others were just flawed, making mistakes, and not always making the wisest decisions when it came to parenting. Like society, sometimes your parents weren't any different in the roles they believed young girls should play: cooking, cleaning, taking care of the household, and even taking care of them. Then the siblings you helped raise grow up and become dependent on you, even as full adults.
First you get the job, Then you pack up and leave like a thief in the night. You're just gonna leave us like that?
Jackie,
you're just gonna
do
walk
not
away from
attack
us?
Eva.
I'm not.
No,
I'm not attacking
stop
you.
it.
Say
Stop it.
If you don't want me to go, Jackie, I won't.
It's not my decision.
It is if you're gonna hate me for it. I don't want to lose your friendship.
They treat you like their parent and get entitled when you say no or try to set boundaries, forgetting you had no choice in the role you were forced into as a child. And if they saw your parents treating you that way, they mirrored it, acting as if you owe them something. What often happens to the eldest daughter is she becomes hyper independent. She might not even want children of her own because she was stuck raising her siblings. She doesn't ask anyone for help because she had to learn to do everything on her own from a very young age, including how to hide her emotions. She never had a safe space for them. Her feelings were always brushed off, or the focus was shifted to one of the other siblings who had things going on. Now, it also may show up where the eldest daughter was the tryout child, the one parents were learning with and harder on, like Beyonce, who y'all know is my fave. People often see her as reserved, a perfectionist, type A, and it's because she didn't have the same parents Solange had. Solange is more carefree, she expresses herself. Now, of course, Beyonce didn't have to take care of her sister, but her parents were very hard on her, specifically her father. Granted, it's how we got the iconic legend that Beyonce is today, but Beyonce herself would talk about how hard her father was on her. And sometimes you just want your parents, not a warden. Beyonce, of course, was more reserved because that was how she grew up. And younger siblings always seem to be and can be more carefree because they weren't given any burdens. And I am not saying Beyonce isn't a naturally shy, reserved person, because she is, and a lot of people hate when women, especially Black women, aren't accessible to them and won't let them in their world. Being a person who is an introvert and someone who isn't as sociable comes with its problems because people often think they're owed access to you and are very weird and unhinged about people not giving them attention, which is another video for another day. But Beyonce, I feel, is extra cautious and more reserved, especially about the things she says, because her mouth may have gotten her in trouble as a child, especially as a Virgo. And y'all know I love me some Virgos. As a Taurus, we have a lot of similarities and we're very blunt and straightforward. And when you're an opinionated child, you get in trouble a lot because you call things out, especially as the eldest daughter. When you feel a certain way about things and watch your siblings get away with things you couldn't, like even experimenting with hair colors or getting piercings or not having curfew or just doing things you weren't allowed to do. While Beyonce is an introvert, I believe, I also believe she's extra cautious because watching Beyonce growing up, we all seen her in interviews. We know Beyonce has a great personality. We see her personality. She's not some boring, dull person. But I do think growing up as the eldest daughter, when you're constantly being told to filter yourself or being reprimanded, but also being the responsible one, having all of these responsibilities at the same time, you can become an introvert, pull back, and place people's feelings above yours and put yourself last in certain situations because it's something that has become so normal to you. They weren't responsible for being the example for your younger brother or sister. They weren't told to hold their emotions in if their sibling did something to them, and they reacted because they were older. And of course, this isn't the case with all siblings, but it is in a lot of cases. Now, let's talk about the babysitting thing. Forcing your children to babysit is another thing that has always pissed me off because it is not okay. Asking them and them agreeing is completely different than actually telling your children they can't go have fun with their friends or make plans because they have to watch their siblings. You decided to have children and you should have made better decisions, but instead you force your children to be the babysitter. And sometimes it's for work, then other times it's for the parents to go have fun, And what truly boggles my mind is how some of you have the audacity to keep bringing children into the world when you don't even have the means to care for the ones you already have. You're working multiple jobs, and instead of adjusting or taking responsibility, you place the burden on your child as if they're the nanny. Why are you continuously having children if you know that you can't take care of them? You're going to force your child to take care of your children? It's selfish and it's neglectful. You made the choice to have kids, yet you're making your child responsible for your decisions because you wanted to keep having children. Meanwhile, the oldest son often gets to be carefree. He doesn't have to help out, doesn't get lectured, and can live at home for as long as he wants, doing the bare minimum. He can play video games all day, be unproductive, and still get excused for everything. And again, this is not always the case. Sometimes you're just the eldest daughter and the oldest child. So you're responsible for being the third parent and the second mother. And we all know that it is not okay. And many parents don't see you as your own person, but instead an extension of themselves, which means they think that you are their do-over or you belong to them forever because they are your parents. That the eldest sibling must take care of the younger siblings, that the eldest daughter must be the second mother. Worse is when that son does have a child, some of you enable him to be a deadbeat father. There are always excuses made for him. And then there's the flip side. If he's even slightly successful or completely successful, suddenly he's the best thing that ever happened, and the eldest daughter is told, you need to be more like your brother. In a male-identified home, there's often no space for daughters, and it tends to go one of two ways. Either become hyper-independent, or you turn into a people pleaser. Either way, it takes years of unlearning that you always have to put yourself last and everyone else above you. Parents often overlooked the eldest daughter as if she didn't need her parents too, as if she wasn't also a child herself. There was an immense amount of pressure placed on her, and it's something many parents like to pretend is normal. Yet, they don't treat the youngest daughter or the eldest son the same way. That right there shows they know this kind of parenting isn't okay. They've claimed they've learned and want to do better with the younger siblings, but somehow that growth never extends to how they treat the eldest daughter. It's like all that self-awareness flies out the window when it comes to her. And then you have the case where the eldest daughter becomes the mother because she doesn't want her siblings to deal with what she dealt with growing up. So she, in a way, tries to reparent because that's a way of reparenting herself. She tries to do all of the things that she wished she had as a child, showing up for her sibling and also maybe even shopping and buying things and splurging on her siblings. And again, from personal experience, as the eldest daughter, we get so used to stepping up for others that we don't know how to turn it off. Even in our friendships, we're the ones people come to for advice, help, or guidance. It takes years of unlearning to let people figure things out on their own. And honestly, it's something that I still struggle with when it comes to helping people. And now, I won't let people walk all over me. That is something that I never allowed. Walking all over me and thinking you can disrespect me? Absolutely not. I have never tolerated it ever. But helping people and giving people advice or guidance, yes. You start believing that if you don't do it, it won't be done right. And you develop a very type A personality. It starts to feel wrong to let others help you because you don't want to become a burden, since you were burdened with responsibility from such a young age. So you project that feeling onto others. You don't want anyone to feel what you felt, forced to step up when they didn't want to. So you avoid asking for help even when you're completely overwhelmed. And letting go of the reins becomes one of the hardest things to do. Now, I'm not a therapist, but I do know this. When you're handed that level of responsibility as a child, you carry it well into adulthood, especially if you're surrounded by people who refuse to grow up. And it is not your job to regulate the emotions of grown adults. You have the right to say no, and if they don't like it, that is too bad. You want to know if someone truly loves you? Tell them no and stand firm on it. Some people only love what you can do for them, and that's it. And I am a person who will tell you no in a heartbeat, no, especially when I know you're trying to use me. Some people don't know how to say no. Some people don't know how to put up boundaries. Now, I'm a person who will put up boundaries quickly, but I was also taught at a young age for someone to not force you to do something you don't want to do. If it makes you uncomfortable, if you don't like how it makes you feel, or if it's something you normally wouldn't do, but because you love this person, you do it for them. No. If you have certain boundaries and things that you refuse to let people cross, it shouldn't change because of the person, point blank, period. But with a lot of eldest daughters, they don't know how to do that because people have often overstepped their boundaries. But back to being surrounded by adults who refuse to grow up. You're hyper independent while they're extremely codependent, unable to function without constant assistance. And that's something to be mindful of too when entering relationships. Be careful with codependent partners, especially men who come from male identified homes and mothers who prop them up and make them believe is that all they have to be is a man. They don't have to contribute anything, but all they have to be is a man, and that a woman is responsible for doing every single thing and making him feel as though he is some special butterfly. Because it's easy to fall right back into the role of caretaker. Avoid people who don't know how to be adults, people who can't make their own appointments, can't cook, can't do laundry, can't take basic care of themselves as an adult. Because before you know it, you're playing mommy all over again, and that is not your job. Even being friends with the spoiled brat of the family can be triggering, especially when they don't see anything wrong with their behavior because their family has always enabled it. Those kind of friendships and relationships rarely work because the way they navigate their family dynamics is the same way they show up in every other connection. To them, boundaries feel like punishment. They take it as an insult that you even have the nerve to tell them what you will and won't tolerate. That's why it always pisses me off when I see parents raising their kids to be brats, throwing tantrums when they don't get their way, and brushing it off as it's so cute, oh my goodness, just because they're little. Because when those kids grow up, they become entitled, narcissistic, and disrespectful to everyone around them. And now the world has to deal with your adult brat. They cause problems in every space they enter because they were never taught accountability or told that their behavior was unacceptable. It's part of the reason why so many teachers struggle to teach nowadays, because they're up against kids who've been enabled at home and parents who refuse to correct toxic behavior. But to my eldest daughters, you deserve to be taken care of too. I know it's one of the hardest things to accept, especially when you've been let down so many times and feel like people will always disappoint you. But hear me good. You don't have to carry everything on your own. It's okay to say you're not okay. It's okay to need rest, support, or space, because space is also important. And please stop letting your siblings guilt you into doing things for them or using weaponized incompetence. They know how to do things for themselves. And I am not talking about your younger siblings. And when you have a really good relationship with your siblings, because I have that relationship with my siblings, you do help them out. You do give them guidance. However, stop putting yourself in the position to be the parent. Sometimes you just can't get yourself out of it. It is very hard. But when you have grown adult siblings still coming to you and acting as though they can't do something, they just prefer to lean on you because you've always been the one who stepped up. But now it's time to let them grow up. Let them navigate adulthood the way you had to, on their own. They will make mistakes. That is life. You make mistakes along the way, but you learn from your mistakes. You do not owe anyone anything but yourself. The same way you figured it out, they will figure it out too. And with that being said, this video has come to an end. Let me know below what topics, shows, movies you would like me to discuss next. And don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Also, make sure your notification bells are turned on so that you always know when I upload. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Mothers, be good to your daughters too.